Can I ask you a question? Are you ready to get and keep momentum in your business? I hope so, because it's Penny Elliott here, your host to having the perfect mix of the woo with the do. If you're ready to create the life that you want through a business designed by you, then tune in. Welcome to Get Momentum for Online Entrepreneurs podcast with your host, me, Penny Elliott. This is the show where we match the woo with the do. So it's your perfect mix of mindset and strategy to have fast success in your online business so you can finally live the life you thought you were going to when you first started your business. And today I've got amazing Katie Fleming here. We've been trying to get her on for a long time. She is one busy mama who, as she said beforehand, loves to protect her time, which we all can take a leaf from that book. So it is well worth the wait, and I'm super excited to have you on for myself, selfishly, and all the listeners and watchers as well. So welcome, and it's lovely to have you here.
Penny, thank you so much for having me, and it is so worth the wait. I think that I don't even know how we end up doing the things we do sometimes, but it's just timing is something that I have to trust as a mom and as an entrepreneur, and that there is something magical you and I are going to create today on this episode, and I'm excited to see what that is and who gets value from it.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit more. I always get people to introduce themselves because, you sell yourself better than anyone else. So what is it that you do? Who do you help? How did you sort of land in this online world?
So good. So good. So I'm Katie Fleming, and I am a mom to two little girls, 6 and 4. So we're very much in the young stage of motherhood in our house. My husband and I live in Dallas-Fort Worth area. We're North Dallas. And so how I got started in this whole world was really just from kind of trying to figure out how can I make income from home while raising my kids. Mm-hmm. It was right before I had my first daughter. This was over 6 years ago. I was running a real estate brokerage, the operations for that, the marketing and stuff that went along with that real estate company. And it was just how can I figure out how to make this work? And so I kind of stumbled into the world of online marketing. When we all kind of enter this world, there's a few voices we hear: the Amy Porterfields, the Marie Forleos, that kind of thing, right? And I just started to realize, okay, wait, there's actually a whole world here that I could start to take what I am really good at: systems, marketing, operations, teaching, and create a business. And so I started off by building a full-time income doing operations and systems work from home. And I quickly realized, with a newborn in tow, that the business was not structured in a way that was sustainable for the lifestyle I wanted to live. Something had to give. I was either going to sacrifice the clients and the results, or I was going to sacrifice my kid, or I was going to sacrifice my marriage, or I was going to sacrifice, most importantly, in my opinion, myself. Mm-hmm. And so something had to give. And I realized that there was this chance I had to rebuild my business with the intent and not really I just had to rebuild the business with intent and realize that I could have both motherhood and business. Those two passions were very important to me. It just would look a lot different than most of the, 40-year-old male gurus out there at the time who were going to tell you had to build a business. So really it was years from that point of soul searching, trial and error, trying this business, doing this thing, before I landed upon a true business model that fit my lifestyle. Because the reality, Penny, is that we could build, there's so many different ways, especially here now in 2020, to make money online, but it doesn't mean every single way is conducive for your skill set, your lifestyle, and your family, and those different dynamics, right? So that's kind of how I landed upon realizing that there's actually a methodology to actually building a business that allows you to live your ambitious life and live it now, not for some future where you're oh yeah, one day when I get to 6 figures, then I'll start working 20 hours a week, or then I'll take off a day and hang out with my husband, or then I'll exercise, or whatever. We're going to live that life today and not sacrifice it. And it comes down to business model. It comes down to simplified marketing, strong sales. Those are just some of the pillars that go into what that ambitious life looks like.
Amazing. And I couldn't agree more. When you have a child, you're yeah, I got this. And then a few weeks in, you're like, this is not quite like having a pet cat or, getting a kitten or a puppy. Like, this is constant. And as they get older, they need more and more attention. And you're just like, it's a bit of a raw realization, isn't it? And you're like, I think I'm going to pop. Something's going to happen. It's got to change. Yeah. So I love that. So like, how in your business, because we're here, here on the podcast, we're all about creating consistent clients, and you touched on it, great simplified marketing and a solid sales system. So how do you in your business with your clients create a consistent flow of clients? Like, what's your secret sauce? Because as you said, business models are different for everyone, and I've just had a call with someone, an interview on the podcast with someone on Pinterest. So everyone's got their own alley. So what's your secret sauce?
Yeah, so there are so many different ways you could fill your pipeline with dream leads. Like, there's so many different ways we could sit here and talk about, but I like to start at the very beginning and make sure that the offer that we're selling is truly, truly serving the highest version of your ideal client. And the thing about this is it can feel interesting and like it's ever evolving, and kind of because it is, because you as the entrepreneur, you are ever evolving. And so who your dream client is today might shift between today and next year, or especially, for high performing entrepreneurs, maybe you can understand this, where I was like, for me, I was growing at such a rapid pace that my dream client evolved so quickly. And if I wasn't aware of that, I would be speaking to this higher level, but still selling a lower level offer. And there was this disconnect of the reasons why my content wasn't actually converting, why people weren't saying, oh my gosh, I need you, or, landing on my Instagram and saying, hallelujah, I was just asking for somebody like this last night to my husband, and here she is. She helps people build 6-figure businesses in 20 hours a week or less. Right? That's like the effect we want to have on people. And so it comes down to offer. Like, we've got to make sure we're solving the number one problem, that your dream client, the highest version of your client, who is willing, able, and ready to invest with you to get that highest transformation. Because
carry on.
The reality is, when we work with that dream client, that's the person who we're fully equipped to get the best result for. And when they get that best result, that's the ripple effect, the kind of the snowball that ends up bringing more dream clients to you.
Okay, cool. So you're saying your secret sauce, to recap, is to work on who your dream client is and what they're willing and able and prepared to pay for, and then create that solution.
Yes, it's about identifying the problem that you solve and creating the best process to get there and positioning it for the person that is at the highest level.
Okay, and then as you evolve, because you said right at the beginning, you evolve and you move through, through lightning pace. Does that mean that you need to keep tweaking your offer to keep up with your evolution?
Most likely, for a lot of people, the process that they go through with their offer, it doesn't change. Yeah. It's the same, right? So let's think about the Pinterest expert. The process that they take somebody through is the same, but the way we're going to communicate that in the marketplace is going to have to be different in order to capture the attention of, a multiple six-figure entrepreneur that actually goes, oh, wait a second. Now that I'm listening to, let me read that, or let me reach out, or whatever that is. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Really good example. So, if you're just getting into Pinterest, you'd be helping other people that just get into Pinterest. And then once you've made 6 figures, you can talk to the 6-figure entrepreneurs about using Pinterest as a tool in their armor, which, I want everyone to hear, is that you need to change that messaging. You need to evolve your messaging as you move forward.
Exactly. And not be afraid to. I mean, there's a lot of, I think, stigma a lot of us can have around pivoting or shifting. And, I think it's just a beautiful part of online business that we have the ability to kind of shift so easily. Whereas you think about a corporation with thousands and thousands of employees, that is a massive shift, that if they were to try to move or change, it's going to take a whole lot longer than your tiny little speedboat.
Yeah, I love that. So you've got a speedboat versus a big ship. I love it. So it's not always, a straight line to the top. And like you alluded to, you're a very different business model to the 40-year-old male entrepreneur that has a garage full of fancy cars as their ad. Completely like, where are you going to put the car seat in that one, buddy? Um, so I like to kind of highlight to the listeners that it's not a straight line to the top. It never is in business, and really, be real with people. So how have you had to really dig deep in your business to get momentum after a setback?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not a straight line at all. Like, and I have often noticed in myself, had mentors reflect this back to me, but also been able to reflect to my clients that as entrepreneurs, we are built to be future pacers, meaning the things that we're out there creating today have application today, yes, but they actually have a lot of application for the future. And if we don't have some kind of system to look back at the things that we have created or the ideas that we've had that have been incubating, we can miss out on some of the genius. And so for me, I'm not allowing perfection to keep me stuck and not taking action. There's always some element of putting things out there, taking action today, we know to be true today. But I do a lot of reflection on, past journals or podcasts and like content of myself, but really journals is where I go to because I get a lot of current day clarity off of past Katie's ideas. Yeah. It's insane to me. And so I would encourage any of you entrepreneurs listening to go back to some of your past genius moments and see what all is relevant. Because a lot of times our brain is so far ahead, our spirit is so far ahead that our body, our physical has to catch up to it.
Yeah, I love that. I was seeing someone was burning their all previous journals and saying they don't need to hold on to that anymore. And like, the Marie Kondo is like, definitely get rid of all of that stuff. But I'm like you. I love to, if I'm sitting there and think, oh, things aren't going as well as I wanted, I need some inspiration, I'll go back to an old journal and I'll be like, hang on a moment, I wrote this down and like, that has totally happened. And I wrote this down and it has totally happened. And I'm like, actually, we do move ahead a lot quicker than we think, and it does get you back into a place of like, it's going to happen, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, burning books or journals is like,
I agree. I don't do that at all because, just yesterday I actually was sitting here and you can see behind me, I have like this color coded bookshelf and I immediately got this like nudge. Here's the woo, right? That we're going to mix with the do. But I immediately got this nudge to pull off this book that I had read 2 or 3 years ago off the shelf. It's in the blue section. And just started picking it up and it was so, so timely. So I got this nudge, woo, mixed with the do, go actually do the thing you're being nudged to do, right? And, yeah, but that's the reason why I won't ever get rid of or burn or whatever. But I will tell you, I did get rid of the journals from high school because they're just not in a good place. We could throw those away. There's no value in that.
So you to pick and choose.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, classic. Okay, so if you could go back to the beginning of starting your business, before you had your first little baba, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your young entrepreneurial self?
So good. Oh my gosh. I think it's that I would have helped myself understand earlier that it wasn't a question of if I'd win. It was just a question of when and at what level. Yeah. So what I mean is that, for a while it was like in my brain early on, it was, am I going to make this work or am I going to fail? Right. Whereas really like now there's this mindset of I've already won. And I'm just showing up every day, achieving little wins along the way that are going to lead to those big wins down the line that I all of a sudden 20 years from now look back and go, holy crap, I did not realize I did that, And so I think realizing to say 2 things, like get started and then realize that these wins, even no matter how minor they are huge in your journey towards those bigger ones that you're going to look back on and see.
Oh, nice. That'd be lovely to go back and tell your young self that. Yeah. So what?
It's just so funny. I've almost caught myself saying the phrase "hindsight is 20/20," but I think I'm done saying that phrase. So I'm like, I don't want to associate hindsight with this year, 2020.
I know. There's been definitely some funny T-shirts that have come out with 2020, and I think everyone's looking forward to the end of this year. Yeah. So what legacy do you want to leave and create in this online space?
Yeah. So my heart is totally bound with the ambitious mom and the woman who is serving in her home, her calling in her home with her family, but also incredibly unapologetic about serving her mission out in the world through her business, through the community. and she's not willing to sacrifice either one. So yes, I do and can help men in business, but there is such a calling on my heart for that ambitious woman, because what I know is that when she is empowered, when she is out there doing her best work in and out of her home, when she is operating from a place of overflow, everybody else is better served. Like, think about the mom who is just so lit up. Think about the overflow her husband gets, the overflow her kids get, the overflow that the world gets beyond that, and just the ripple effect, even with clients that come from that. So in a nutshell, I would say that my legacy is equipping the ambitious mother to pursue her calling in and out of her home.
Yeah, and totally, you know, I think that's what really it piqued my interest with you, is because that's what you are, you know, making a real stand for, from a person who didn't know you, you know, to start with, and then came into your world and in your realm. You know, I was running up the road listening to your podcast, Pushing Josh, thinking, you know, I can do both, and you have such good examples throughout all of your content around, you know, how that is possible, not only with tips and techniques, but with case studies and people that are, you know, that you've helped. So it's such a huge space, and you're totally right about the ripple effect that an empowered woman and lit up woman has. You know, we've just gone back into lockdown again, and which has meant that, you know, I have slept in and not been, like, you know, against the grindstone as much as normal, because it's kind of like an enforced slowdown. And it's taken me probably 4 or 5 days of you know, a bit more sleep and a bit more just before I actually could reflect and realize just how, like, titchy and grouchy I was getting, because I was trying to cram too much in. And so I think that is one of the lessons that COVID is trying to teach us all, you know, is to be able to be both. And so, yeah, so as an empowered, you know, rested woman, I've been a much nicer person. So
funny how that works.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I've alluded to how people can get in touch with you, but let us know, what's the best way to absorb?
Yeah, you're already on their podcast app. Come hang out with me on Ambitious Motherhood, the podcast. And connect with me there on those episodes. It's like we're BFFs in each other's earbuds. So let's talk. And then, you know, beyond that, I don't know, Penny, if you love Instagram as much as I do, but just getting on there and connecting with each of you in the DMs, screenshot your show, tag me at Katie Fleming, tag Penny as well. That way we can both connect with you and hear what you took away from this episode.
100%. So we'll put the link to both the podcast and the and Katie's handle in the show notes. But yeah, you know, if you're out listening to this, screen grab it and let us know what you took away from it and how you want to, you know, be empowered as well. And so, have you got something that the listeners can get started with, or have you got a course at the moment that you are putting out to the world? How can they absorb more of you?
Yeah. So if you would like to learn how to get more clients into your world, sign those dream clients, I've got a dream client to-do list for you that you can go grab at katiefleming.co/dream clients.
Righto, and we'll put that into the show notes. And there's nothing better than working with dream clients. We've all had those ones where you're like, ooh, I have to get on the call with this one. So it's much easier to fill your day with dream clients. I mean, after all, that is why you've chosen not to go to a job, is so that you can work with lovely people. So make sure that you grab that checklist. It sounds pretty comprehensive and good.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
That's right. Now, the last soundbite that I always ask anyone on the podcast is, what's your favorite one-liner you give yourself to get momentum in your business daily?
I should have prepped this one.
Do you know, if I ask you this before we get on, everyone just spends the whole time thinking about it. So that's why we leave it to the end.
Yep. I know, it's like literally on my whiteboard staring at me right now.
There you go.
I am so locked in and in flow.
I'm so locked in and in flow. I love it. We haven't had that one yet. I'm so locked in and in flow. I love it. Brilliant. All right. Well, thank you so much for giving us some of your time to share with us how you have built your business, how you have, like, developed a lifestyle that suits you and your kids and your husband and all of your clients. keep being amazing and creating that legacy online, because you definitely are. You've touched me, and now you'll be touching thousands more through this podcast as well. So
thank you so much, Penny. You're amazing.
Thanks. And if you love the show, as always, please leave a review. Reviews are like fodder for podcasts. It's like throwing out corn for chickens. We love it. So go to ratethispodcast.com/Penny and follow the simple instructions. If they're not simple, then send a message to my VA, because she reckons that they are. We'll see if she listens to this podcast to hear the end. Alrighty, so thanks so much, and we'll see you on the next episode. If you love the woo with the do and you want to dive deeper into how you too can get and keep momentum in your business, then join thousands of other online entrepreneurs like yourself and head on over to Amazon and grab a copy of my book, Get Momentum, your ultimate guide to create 100K in 100 days without fear, overwhelm, and burnout. And while it's being delivered to you, you'll have time to leave a 5-star review of the podcast before you head on over to the next episode.